These pants have ripped at the back pocket. So you can see the pocket itself is still intact, but the fabric around it has ripped. So I have a patch. I'll tell you about this in just a second. But what I'm gonna do is put this patch underneath on the inside and then just stitch it in place around the edge of the patch and then again around the edge of the hole so that my husband can keep wearing these pants a little bit longer. Because I've done this before, and I bet you have too, I now save scraps of fabric that are a good weight and a similar color to some of his pants and some other things that I have to patch from time to time, so that when I do need to pull out a patch, I've got tons of fabric ready to use. So anytime I have little scraps, here's a denim one that I could use later for patches, I save those. Here's a camo one. So I stick them in my little box here. From time to time on the smaller ones, I go ahead and serge around the edges so that they're actually ready to use. I don't even have to finish the edges. So that's where I got my patch. Now, if you have not finished your edges, I love serging them. If you don't have a serger or an overlock machine, you will need to cut them with the pinking shears all around the edges to give it that little zigzag so it doesn't ravel quite as much. Or if you like to use some sort of fray stop, that works too. So however you want to do something to the edges so that they're not raw, we don't want to cause more problems with our patch. But once you get your piece of fabric that you're going to use for your patch ready, then we are going to pin it on the inside of our hole. So I'm going to get my pins out and take a second to get this lined up. So I want the hole to be in the center of the patch so that I've got plenty of fabric all the way around the hole. So I'm going to put it about like that, and then I'm going to try to pin it on the other side without shifting it. Let's see if I can do it. All right, so I've got my patch where I want it. This part of the pants would be able to lay flat. So even though my fabric is ripped, I don't want to pin it in such a way that's going to pull it and make it lay awkwardly. So I want to try to lay the fabric as flat as it would have been before it was ripped and sew my patch there. So I'm going to put a few more pins in here. All right, so I've got my piece of fabric pinned where it's pretty flat. Now I can feel the edges through here. So what I'm going to do first is stitch all around the edges. Now, he's still going to want to use this pocket, so I can't actually sew right here. That will close the pocket up. So what I'm going to do is start on the edge of the pocket, but also on the edge of the patch. I don't know if you can see where it's folding. I'll fold it. So the edge of the patch is right here. So I'm going to start on the edge of the pocket where it meets the edge of the patch, stitch all the way around the edge of the patch down inside the pocket. So I'm going to open the pocket, stitch down in here as close as I can. So there will be a little section of the patch that's not stitched. That'll be fine. All right, let's stitch that. All right, here's where we're going inside. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this pin, open the pocket, but trying to keep the patch flat. And I'm going to sew down inside to that corner because my patch is square. Your patch may not be a square. That's fine too. I'm going to pivot, open up again, and go as close as I can to this stitching without crossing over it. That would create a pleat on the outside of our pocket. All right, let's trim those threads. All right, so that's patched. You could leave it like that if you're happy with that. But I like to sew a little bit closer to the hole so that it's not flapping open even though it's sort of secure. So I'm gonna make another stitch around where it's actually ripped. I'm gonna try to get pretty close to it, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so from the edge of that frayed hole, and I'm gonna do the same thing all the way around it. Oof, these pants are knocking everything off my sewing table. All right, so normally that's enough, but because these also ripped this direction, they're still flapping a little bit. So the last thing I'm gonna do on this particular tear is stitch up. I'm gonna try to go close to where the original stitching is, but stitch up onto this corner and secure this corner to the flap. It's going to be very thick here, and you can see in the factory they put a bar tack here. I'm not gonna worry about putting that bar tack back. I just want to secure this corner a little bit better to the patch. So it is thick up here in the corner. I'm just gonna use my hand wheel to help me get through all those layers a little bit easier. All right, and there we go. So we've got a patch here, but the pocket is still open all the way to the edge and usable, and nothing's gonna show from the inside.
And also like and subscribe. Yeah, so like and subscribe.
Thanks, boys.